Riding a bicycle across Colorado, from the Wyoming border to the New Mexico border in 4 days has never been easy. But the 2020 SHIELD 616 Border to Border ride was by far the most challenging yet. From dealing with COVID-19 to the current climate in our country toward first responders, Mother Nature, a 3-rider crash, and a goal of raising enough money to donate 51 vests and helmets to 2 separate agencies, this year's team, the largest yet with nearly double the riders of last year, at 27 this year, well, that team faced it all.
Well, good morning, everybody.
On day 1, the ride began as usual at the Wyoming border, dark and early, and was again kicked off live on News 5 Today. Waking up at 4 a.m. to be at the border at 6 a.m. may have been the easiest part of the day. The start of the route had to be moved north of the town of Craig on Highway 13 at the last minute because of snow earlier in the week at the Wyoming border north of Walden. Temperatures were in the low 30s and conditions were clear. But about 2 hours into the ride to Steamboat Springs, temperatures weren't warming, and then it started to snow.
Just keep going, can't quit, that's not why we're here.
The snow had let up as riders began to arrive in Craig, but conditions were still wet and cold. That's when 3 riders in the lead pack ran into trouble, all going down, and amazingly coming away with only scrapes and bruises and essentially undamaged bicycles.
Well, it only took until noon for the sun to come out, and now we're finally enjoying this ride.
Day 1's 75-mile trip turned out to be a true Colorado ride, as the blue skies and the sun eventually showed up as the team approached Steamboat Springs in waves of riders all looking to dry out and warm up. Day 1 concluded with what is always the highlight of the ride for most on the team, and the ride's main purpose, the SHIELD 616 vest presentation, this time to the entire Steamboat Springs Police Department.
Thank you guys.
The vest presentation followed by a team meeting that had words of inspiration and encouragement from former Denver bicycle officer John Atzett, his wife Michelle, and Douglas County deputies married couple Dan and Christine Bright.
All right, we're starting our first climb of the day.
With rain and cold in the forecast in Steamboat Springs that morning, day 2 started much later at 9 a.m. The gray and dreary conditions couldn't put a damper on the significance of the day, however, and the police escort the team had through Steamboat on our way out of town.
And that was quite a visual sight.
The escort certainly an enjoyable way to start day 2, and it was appreciated because the uphill climbing began shortly after we left town and on the way toward Vail and on to Minturn, a total of 96 miles and a brutal 6,000 feet of climbing.
All right, video log continuing. We're at about mile 60 something, about 3/4 of the way done. A little more climbing to do, and I feel a lot better. I really was before lunch thinking I wasn't sure I was going to make it today, but after lunch and some downhill riding, I feel a lot better. Of course, at lunch we did some of the interviews with some of our first responders, talking about what September 11th means to them, and kind of, you know, had to tell myself, suck it up, Buttercup, and doing a little better. So, got a ways to go. SHIELD 616 2020 Border to Border.
Bottom elevator, the glass just flames exploded out the front of the World Trade Center.
Day 2's ride was also the 19th anniversary of the September 11th attacks, something that was not lost on the first responders on the ride and those of us riding with them.
You know, that's when I was starting my law enforcement career, so every day I look back at that, to those people that went running into the building with no disregard for what their safety was, and I like to live my life thinking that and go to work every day so I can be there to help somebody out. So.
You know, obviously everybody remembers the towers coming down and the law enforcement officers as well as the firefighters running into the building to save lives. Like Curtis was saying earlier, you know, we do that job every day to save lives, to make a difference. When I was 5 years old, I told my mom I wanted to be a cop, and I've stuck to it. And then 9/11 happened, and that kind of inspired me to join the military. So it's, you know, throughout that, I did 8 years in the military, and then got into law enforcement. And it's been, I like to call it like a life of service. I love to serve people, and never forget sticks with me. You know, I don't ever want anybody to forget it, and we're seeing some of the newer cops coming in that are younger, and we're younger during 9/11, and it's cool to mentor them and show them, you know, hey, this is why we're here, this is what we do, this is why we do what we do. And then my wife and I got married on September 11th. She was in the military as well. She's a law enforcement officer, and then obviously I was a military and law enforcement officer as well. So we kind of have that camaraderie, and 9/11 to us meant you know, obviously we kind of bonded over that. That's why she joined the military as well. And so we kind of, our lives have been centered around that date, and we don't want to ever forget. And the sacrifices that were made that day are incredible. The bravery that day was incredible.
So what I normally do on 9/11, for about 9 years now, I've participated in the Denver firefighter 9/11 stair climb at the Quest building. Unfortunately, I had to get canceled this year due to COVID. And it's a real meaningful event because they limit it to 343 firefighters to participate, and that's the number of firefighters that died when the towers came down.
It's interesting, over the years being a firefighter, my knees are kind of shot, so I've had shoulder surgeries, knee surgeries, and so I can still get on a bike and ride, and this is one way that we can support first responders that are still doing the job today.
My buddy Cam Halverson. Hello, hello. You know, I would have said he'd be my climbing buddy, but I think he's going to smoke me today. Legs are pretty rubbery.
Day 3 of the Shield 616 ride also got a late start, and while not as hilly as day 2, nearly all of the 4,000 feet of climbing came in the first 20 brutal miles, from Minturn climbing up Battle Creek Pass and then onto Tennessee Pass.
Well, I've kind of broken off into a little section by myself, about 1.5 miles from the summit of Tennessee Pass, and it's just so beautiful. Look over my shoulder, look over here.
It's difficult for many riders to not simply lower their head and grind out the climbing, but taking in the amazing Colorado Rocky Mountain scenery on the way up certainly made the ride worthwhile. It included crossing the Eagle River on the Red Cliff Bridge. By the time the team stopped for lunch in Leadville, nearly 4 hours into the day, many legs were shot, and there were still almost 60 miles to go before our stopping point in Poncha Springs, south of Buena Vista.
This is Colorado at its finest, and a bicycle seat. What a great way to see it, especially for a great cause for our first responders. I'm tired, my legs are noodled, but it's worth every pedal stroke. Let these guys know we're with them. We've got their back. It is awesome up here.
After dealing with snow, cold, rain, and steep hills, Day 4 in Poncha Springs brought friendlier temperatures to start the day, but another brutal climb right out of the gate.
Last day, 112 miles. Personal note, I think my longest ride is 102, so I really don't want to dwell on the fact that today I'm going to try and ride my bicycle further than I've ever ridden it, and I'm more tired than I've ever been. But this group of people and the cause is definitely worth it.
A 7-mile slog up Poncha Pass with 4% and 5% grades that took the slower riders on the team almost an hour and a half to summit. Well, it was a quick descent after a break up top. As the road flattened out, there were still over 80 miles to go to the New Mexico border. Day 4 was the longest mileage of the ride, 112 in all, and riding on a straight, flat road with a slight headwind gets a little monotonous after about an hour. And some wills were tested as bodies ached and the miles slowly ticked away. The team finally reached Antonito, Colorado, about 7 miles from the New Mexico border, and grouped up and gathered our strength for the final push, eventually crossing the border as a group, and the 2020 ride, with its many, many, many challenges, had come to an end.
Best one yet.
How come?
Bigger, phenomenal group of people. Harder ride this year, ton more climbing, hit a ton of PRs that I've never done before. Longest ride, most elevation gain, fastest downhill I think I might have PR'd on as well. And at the end of the day, just the best mental health reset button for me, you know, more than anything else. Just being around a bunch of good friends, made new friends, kind of rejuvenated my whole, I don't know, willingness to go back to work. And
this ride had to happen this year, and we did whatever it took to make it happen, whether it was the COVID testing or whatever it might have been, but we made it happen and got it done.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. You know, this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but you know what, the camaraderie with all of the riders, hearing the stories of all the first responders, and riding through the entire state, seeing first responders on the side of the roads holding their baby with their wife next to them, really brings home what we're doing here and making sure that they get to come home to their family.
Tell you, starting in early March, I thought we weren't going to be able to do it all the way up to our team meeting. I was questioning, but thankfully, we just went about it the right way, and we were smart, and everyone stayed healthy, and given our testing and masks, we were able to do it. And I tell you, it was so important, and you heard the stories. It was so important to do this ride for the mental health of the first responders that rode with us this week. You heard those stories and how critical this was to do it, and so we're just so thankful that we were able to do this, and given what's going on.
It was a blast having 4 other women ride with me, plus we had all our women volunteers. It was awesome. It's just a lot of fun. Great group of guys. It's so fun to see how this has grown from 7 riders, right, the first year, to, 27 this year?
Yeah.
It's been amazing. So just glad we're here.
This one was tough. It was, I think the extremes of weather is probably what made it most challenging. That day one, riding in the snow was really brutal. And then, hot today. This is all from today because I had on long sleeves for all the other days. So yeah, it was a tough event. Big miles, some good climbs, but great cause and good people. It was so fun. And the group stayed together really well. I loved it.
Oh man, this is an incredible event. I've done a lot of different events around, I don't know, mainly the Midwest region, but I've done a few across the country, and this one is fantastic. I mean, it's different. It's different than a standard cycling event that you'd think about doing. It's a relatively small group, and I think because of that, the camaraderie in this has been absolutely fantastic. I'm new to town. I've only been here 2 months, and I have met people that I would call good friends now at this point. I promise we'll go far beyond this ride. Part of it certainly has brought my understanding of what Shield 616 really is all about to a higher level. And I think being a part of this and being around first responders on this ride has given me so much more awareness as far as what they're really going through, what they're struggling with right now. I mean, I think we all have an idea, but it has really brought my awareness to a much heightened level.
Well, we're here at the border. We have wrapped up the 2020 Shield 616 Border to Border ride. We had big goals coming in, Jake.
We had huge goals, but you know what? It's just so cool to see everybody rallying around our first responders.
And we got a lot done this year, including we've really had a lot of, first to all of our viewers, thank you.
Yes.
We did a lot, and we got a lot done, and we met our goal.
We did it, and I can't thank everybody enough, whether you're an individual, a business, a church, a foundation, everybody rallied. And for all of our first responders out there, I hope that's encouraging to you to know that community-wide effort is rallying around them to get this done. And it's so cool to be here on the New Mexico border after you struggled and made it. We reached our goal for the Black Forest Fire Department. So I can't wait to give them a call and tell them they're going to be better protected because of this ride, and a lot to do with your viewers.
Well, we couldn't do it without you and Carrie Cattlein getting this thing started, and we'll continue to do amazing things. Thanks for all you do, Jake.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. It's a wonderful partnership, and we, to give us your platform the way you guys have, it's been truly awesome. And to think that what you've done, what we've all done, is something potentially life-saving.
At the end of the day, there is a lot of pride in riding the beautiful state of Colorado border to border, but more importantly, thank you to each and every one of you who have donated in ways small, in ways big. There have been all of you that have helped us cover
So many departments. Steamboat Springs Police, Black Forest Fire and Rescue will be better protected, and even other first responders. So thank you to all our viewers. It's such an important mission right now. Reporting from the New Mexico-Colorado border for News 5. Always watching out for you. I'm Ira Cronin.